What's going on, people? You already know who it is. It's your boy Mac Attack, back at it again with some more boxing news, views, and opinions. Let's get it. So, things been heating up. This is what the sport is about. This is why we do this. This is why YouTube carry the sport of boxing. And this is what I got into it for. We got a good discussion going on, a good debate. You know, we got some good fights coming behind it. And right now, everybody is all over the place. New information is coming out. And the latest thing that came out is Shakur Stevenson activating his mandatory against Devin Haney. But not only did he activate his mandatory, he's actually doing something else that kind of surprised everybody. And that's using litigation to push for a 50-50 purse split. But we're going to talk about that in a second. What's going on now is you got the controversy with Devin Haney, who had his eye on Regis Prograis earlier. And according to Michael Benson, he said the fight negotiations were almost complete between Devin Haney and Regis Prograis. So nobody's seen this thing coming with Shakur beyond Devin Haney offering them the 25% contract, which, you know, I want to talk about that too. You know, everybody was saying it was a lowball offer, but in negotiations, it usually works like this. One side starts low, the other side starts high, y'all meet in the middle. I feel like for the opportunity that Shakur was getting, 25% as an entry offer, which obviously if you got a team that's willing to go for purse splits and, you know, things like that, you could use the same team to negotiate contracts. You know, I feel like 25% as an opening salvo to negotiations is fair enough. You know what I mean? It's generous. That's half of 50%. So you start at 25, you probably come in maybe, I would think Shakur would want to come in like maybe 40, and they meet somewhere around 35%, you know, 30 or 35%, which would have been fair. But I think a lot of egos got involved. I think a lot of personal matters got involved. I personally, this is my opinion at Macworld, I feel like Shakur is making an aggressive push, but it's not a good faith push. You know what I mean? I'm gonna say that one more time. I feel like he's making an aggressive push, but it's not in good faith. There's different ways to make a fight, different ways to approach the fight, different types of things to be taken into consideration. Now, an interesting fact, you know, which I want to talk about is Devin Haney having trouble making weight at 135, and how I think that ties into the 25%, or in general, the percentage he was trying to get to stay at 135. I think those two are directly related. He was basically doing what the bank does, a risk assessment, a risk reward assessment. When the risk is higher on something that they're a financial product, what do? They have a higher interest rate. So I feel like he just put a higher interest rate on that undisputed and him having to drain himself. I mean, it's well known that Haney looked decent. I'm not going to say he looked bad against Loma, but he looked decent, you know, and partly because he's having trouble making the weight. Look at everybody else in this class. You look at T.O., he moved on to 140. You look at Ryan Garcia, he moved on to 140. He looking bigger than Errol Spence right now. And Devin, he got that same kind of frame like Ryan Garcia. So he's growing into it, and Undisputed was a dream of his, I'm sure, but to try to, you know, damage yourself physically just to hold on to being at 135, nah, man, that's not the move. I say move up, Regis Prograis, Gary Antoine Russell, Teofimo Lopez at 140. 140 is starting to get thick. You want to move forward as your class is moving forward. You don't want to get left behind. You know what I mean? That's what's going on right now. And so, as far as activating the mandatory, let me talk about that. I really want to talk about the purse split. So with the purse split, the reason why I feel like it's in bad faith is because all these things I'm talking about, I mean, I'm not even part of Shakur's team. I'm an outside spectator, so I know, you know, the think tank over there, they know all these factors already, right? So they really know what we all know. Devin Haney is trying to get out of 135. We know this because he said it. He's trying to get out of 135, but he's only willing to stick around for a Tank Davis fight because he knows Tank is the A-side. Even with the belts, Tank is the A-side draw. The belts, the hardware is already with Devin Haney, so he can't fight for nothing at this point but money at 135. You know what I'm saying? To make it worth it, because he got all the belts. He was willing to stick around for the biggest money fight at 135, but he trying to move on. Shakur noticed, at least I feel like he knows the money, the amount is tied to the risk assessment that Devin Haney made for staying at 135, taking the dangerous Shakur Stevenson, who is just fresh into the division. You know what I'm saying? Growing into it. So when he goes and he says, I'm going to go even further and push for a 50-50 per split, I feel like that's not going to bring Devin Haney to the table. He's already undisputed, so if he did vacate and he moved up, it would be in the best interest in the long run for his career anyway. You know what I mean? And probably financially in a way. Now, let's talk about him moving up, getting rid of the belts and not being the A-side anymore without the belts. That's fine. It's part of his legacy taking on, trying to take on the best fights in his division. Devin Haney always been the one to call people out and all that, and he need to keep that going. He need to chase down Tio. He need to chase down Ryan. He need to fight Gary Antoine Russell. That's what I feel, and he definitely need to fight Regis Prograis. If you take Regis Prograis as his intro to 140, you got to get a man his respect. You know what I'm saying? Because that proves that he's not just moving up to avoid a dangerous fight. Now on the flip side, after the push that he's making for Devin Haney to stay at 135, let's see what the smoke is really about. Let's see if he stays at 135 and takes a dangerous fight or a game fight like a Frank Martin or one of those guys, because Top Rank will have you calling out top guys from quote unquote across the street, while on your side of the street you fighting Russian TikTokers and Lithuanian ice cream makers and shit like that. So we gonna see, man. We gonna see what happens. Let me know what y'all think in the comments about this whole situation, man. It's heating up right now. I love it. I love it in the boxing talk sphere. I love it in the ring, because you know what's going on, right? You can play games, but you can't play boxing. I'm gone.